As we continue, we have cross-linguistic issues and cross-cultural issues. So, cross-linguistic issues. So, these problems arise from differences within language itself. This includes variations in vocabulary, grammar, syntax, dialects, and the challenges of translation between different languages. Essentially, it's about the complications that occur because languages are structured differently. And when it comes to cross-cultural issues, these issues stem from the ways that different cultures use language, communication styles, social norms, and expectations for politeness can vary significantly across cultures. What is considered appropriate in one culture might be offensive in another, regardless of the language being used. So the first issue we have is language choice and translation. The Internet's global nature presents challenges for communication across diverse languages. Existing approaches to cross-linguistic communication include monolingualism, multilingualism, contact languages, and lingua francas. The Internet is seeing both increased content in languages other than English and the adoption of English as a lingua franca, posing translation challenges. So, the first point here highlights a fundamental challenge we face in our increasingly interconnected world. The Internet is global, but people speak many different languages other than English. This simple fact creates a barrier when we try to communicate with each other online. So the second point tells us about some of the ways we currently try to bridge these language gaps. So we have approaches like sticking to a single language, which is what we call monolingualism. Then there's multilingualism, where we try to use multiple languages. We also see the development of contact languages, which are simplified languages that arise when speakers of different languages need to communicate. And finally, there are lingua francas, which are languages widely adopted as a common means of communication among speakers of different native languages. So English is a prominent example of this Internet today. However, as the third point emphasizes, the linguistic landscape of the Internet is evolving. We're seeing more and more content being created in languages other than English, which is a positive step towards inclusivity. At the same time, English is often adopted as a common language, a lingua franca, to facilitate international communication. Now, both of these trends, the growth of diverse language content and the use of a lingua franca, bring their own set of translation challenges. Ensuring that information is accurately and effectively conveyed across these linguistic boundaries is a crucial issue we need to address. So, the next is dialectal choice. When we think about language, we often consider different languages entirely, like English versus Spanish, but even within the same language, we have variations, and these are called dialects. So, well-written language neutralizes spoken accent differences. Spelling, vocabulary, and grammar reveal dialectal variations. So this point tells us that while the act of writing can sometimes make spoken accents less obvious, the way we spell words, the vocabulary we choose, and even the grammatical structure we use can still very much reveal which dialect we speak or where we come from. Think about it. For example, someone from the United States might spell color as C-O-L-O-R, while someone from the UK would spell it C-O-L-O-U-R. So that's a difference in spelling that immediately signals a dialectal variations. So similarly, you might hear different words from the same thing, like soda, pop, or coke, in different parts of the US, all referring to the same type of drink. So these vocabulary choices are often tied to specific dialects. So the next point, search engines and parsers might handle major dialects of English, but cultural sensitivity to linguistic nuances is important. So while search engines and computer programs that analyze text, or what we call parsers, might be sophisticated enough to understand the major dialects of a language like English, they might still struggle with more subtle differences. More importantly, this point emphasizes the need for cultural sensitivity. Even if technology can understand different dialects, we as communicators need to be mindful of the linguistic nuances. Using language that is too specific to one dialect might exclude or confuse people from other dialectal backgrounds. It's a reminder that effective communication isn't just about being understood technically. It's also about being respectful and inclusive of linguistic diversity within the language. So the third and last issue we have here is cross-cultural issues. So cultural conventions surrounding language use vary significantly. The internet challenges these conventions by blurring the lines between spoken and written language and by exposing diverse cultural norms. Key concerns include audience appropriateness, content suitability, and message form. So cultures have different rules for how to use language. The internet makes this more complicated by mixing spoken and written styles and exposing people to many different cultural norms. When communicating online, it's crucial to think about who your audience is, if your content is suitable, and what form your message should take. In simpler terms, this presentation is saying that the internet, while connecting people, also throws up hurdles because of the many languages and cultures involved. So we have to be mindful of language differences and cultural differences in communication to communicate effectively online.